Not every car is made to win hearts at first sight. Some are too raw, too quirky, or too misunderstood for the mainstream. But that's exactly why enthusiasts treasure them. These aren't the cars you see on every corner. They're the ones whispered about in garages, immortalized in late-night drives, and remembered long after their production ended. Today, we're diving into 7 machines that may never top sales charts, but live forever in the hearts of true car lovers. So buckle up, and along the way, I'll ask you to jump in, share your takes, and keep this ride interactive. Let's celebrate the cars only enthusiasts truly understand. 1. Toyota AE86, the Drift Scholar. Close your eyes. Feel a tiny car with a big heart. The AE86 scene opens on a narrow mountain pass. Host teases, "This isn't about straight-line bragging. It teaches you balance." Guest driver laughs, teaching a viewer how the throttle becomes a conversation. Interactive cue. Host asks the audience, type D for drift or T for tight turns, and reacts to answers, describing how the AE86 forgives and rewards, how it turns suburban kids into artists. There is a tender moment where the host recalls a first lesson learning to countersteer, the nervous hands, and how the car complimented small corrections with giant grins. A viewer call interrupts. They confess the car made them less afraid of mistakes. Host, "That's the point. This car makes you better." The segment ends with the host inviting a viewer to pick a classic line, feather the throttle, or trail brake to smile. 2. Mazda RX-7 FD, the rotary romance. Listen, that's the rotary singing. Open on a sunlit garage where an RX-7 silhouette sits like a promise. A mechanic guest explains idiosyncrasies of the Wankel engine in plain words, making the strange feel beloved. Interactive cue. If you could name a machine, what would you call it? Comment now? The host teases a live poll about rotary love versus piston loyalty. Banter with a fan caller who confesses owning a thirsty but euphoric RX-7. A moment of vulnerability. The host admits nearly trading theirs for practicality, then decides not to because of a memory, a night drive where the engine felt like a heartbeat. The guest lovingly describes how the RX-7 rewards revs and patience. The host asks viewers to share their highest rev memory, reading a few aloud and chuckling with sincere warmth. 3. BMW E30 M3, the driver's thesis. This is the thesis every driver's notebook wishes it had. Cold open with an E30 carving through wet back roads, tires spraying light. The guest is an instructor who respects patience and skill. They debate whether the E30 is education or exam. Interactive instruction. The host asks viewers to choose from 3 lines: conservative, progressive, reckless, and reacts with measured coaching, praising small inputs. Anecdotal beat. A listener calls in to share swapping a lifetime of anger for precision after a season with an E30. The host narrates a micro-lesson on steering feel and weight transfer like telling a bedtime story to a beginner. Between jokes and jargon, the segment stays human. Coffee spills, laughter, the guest admitting they still goose the throttle sometimes just for the smile it brings. 4. Lancia Delta Integrale, Rally's tempered jewel. Imagine a family hatch in championship armor. Cut to archival rally clips and a present-day owner polishing a Delta's faded paint with ritual care. The narrative balances technical praise, four-wheel drive temperament, turbo snarl with human warmth. The owner remembers their father explaining pace notes in the kitchen. Interactive bit. The host runs a mini-quiz about rally trivia, rewarding winners with a shout-out. A fan video plays where a Delta climbs a muddy hill, inspiring the host to wax nostalgic about community meets and late-night wrenching. The guest explains how the car feels planted yet eager, and the host compares it to a loyal friend who still surprises you. The segment ends with the host asking viewers to share their rally soundtrack picks. 5. Nissan Skyline GTR R32, Godzilla's quiet roar. Some cars are myths. The R32 is a living one. The segment opens in neon-lit city streets with a muted R32 prowling through drizzle. A technical aside is given simply. Atessa and RB26 explained with metaphors so fans and newcomers both nod along. Interactive hook. Viewers pick one handling scenario and the host narrates how Godzilla would respond, lively and cheeky. A longtime owner recounts the first time the car found traction after a skid and how that changed their confidence forever. The host listens, visibly moved, then riffs about how some machines teach humility. There's a playful stretch where the host imitates a traffic light turning green and pretends the car purrs in approval. The segment closes with a promise to feature reader restoration photos next episode. 6. Porsche 911 air-cooled. The evergreen icon. The 911 is a conversation across generations. The scene is a quiet coastal road at dawn. An air-cooled 911 exhales in the distance. A historian voiceover traces lineage with affection, not lecture, while two friends trade memories about early morning drives and terrible coffee. Interactive cue. Drop your favorite 911 memory in chat. We'll read 3 aloud. The host balances reverence with approachable humor about engine placement jokes, and an owner confesses to irrational loyalty. I know it's impractical, but it still feels like home. The host smiles, recounts a winter morning where a 911 simplicity made navigation feel meditative, and a caller mentions the scent of oil and leather as a kind of nostalgia perfume. The segment closes with a slow pan and a heartfelt thank you to a community that treats these cars like family. 7. Lotus Elise Minimalist thrill. Less is everything. We open to an Elise tucked into a garage corner. Its tiny cockpit telling you it's about driving, nothing else. The guest is a minimalist racer who teaches breathing techniques before a lap, sync with the chassis, and the host tries it, humorously failing then improving. Interactive snippet. Viewers choose setup options in a poll. The host then describes the visceral changes with delight. Anecdote. The guest recalls an Elise saving them from a distracted commute because the car demanded full engagement. The host nods, noting how the car reduces driving to inputs and reward. Between laughter and honest confession, the segment feels intimate, like a chat over greasy donuts. The closing line, if a car could be a compass for joy, the Elise points true north. And that's for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Got thoughts, questions, or video ideas? Drop them down in the comments. I read every single one.